Yes, I have some questions about some grievances I did when I was in jail.
I wouldn't have access to the grievances.
I'm seeking direction
Uh,
because the grievances were pretty extreme about people messing with, tampering with my food. And then I gave them evidence because I also included in the grievance the items that I fished out of my food. In addition to that, I was placed in maximum security on false charges and left in jail with time served. And you just can't take bribes to put someone in maximum security and leave them in jail. And then they said that I didn't have an attorney or a judge on these false charges. I was arrested for trying to report child abuse and corruption at CPS in Arlington. I had time served in November and was kept in jail to February 8th of 2022.
okay, give me a second. Let me find the grievance department.
Okay. Hello, may I have your name?
Maldonado.
Who?
Maldonado.
I think I got you answered some grievances. That I think I communicated with you that it was abuse in jail, and then you put on the grievance that it was abuse outside of the jail, and I was reporting that there was abuse in jail. But on the grievance that I got, you said abuse outside of jail, not in jail. So let me give you my name. I remember your name. You've been working there. I assume you've been working there years. Hello.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Give me a second.
Oh, how long you been working there?
Give me a second. I'm still looking for that phone number for you.
I'm not quite certain on the phone number of what's happening. I got what did I get transferred to?
You're at reception right now. Give me a moment.
Okay, because I've been transferred around for 10 years to get anywhere. It's bizarre. Why would they transfer me? What department do I need to find out about grievances?
Give me a moment. I'm finding out.
If you're reception, I'm asking what department would that be that you're looking for?
I'm looking for grievances. Give me a moment. Let me put you on hold.
That's how you enforce crimes on someone. If you're the government, you want to make sure there's a lot of money being circulated. It's going to happen. Now, we just have to be creative on how we're going to enforce it that happens to not get charges. Their pattern of choice, intimidation, bullying, mistreatment, and torment, trying to get business taken care of. If we violate you, you won't want to take care of your business. He's struggling. Games.
What's your name?
You need my name to know the department?
No, I need to know your name. That way I can tell whoever's calling, whenever I'm calling, that I'm transferring them to you.
Okay.
You used to have here?
No, I don't know the CID number. Who are you transferring me to?
To Sergeant, to Lieutenant
What's their name?
Arroyo. It's
Arroyo? I'm not sure if I remember Arroyo, but I do remember Maldonado. But you claim that you don't do grievances? Is that correct? Hello?
I don't. It wasn't me.
Okay, I just don't understand for 10 years why I repeatedly get violated and mistreated. Obviously, what I communicated with you initially in this call is serious. And it appears that all my environments want me tormented and violated for reporting abuse. I think that's a red flag that perhaps maybe they're part of it. The only people that condone and cover for abuse are accomplices to it.
What is your date of birth?
That's just trying to convince others that that's not what's happening. My data. So you need my date of birth to know where to transfer me?
No, I need your date of birth to pull you up.
Okay, I don't know what's happening. Because you said you were transferring me, you need to know my name, and now you need my date of birth, and you got to pull me up.
Yes, that way I can tell them who you are, give them your CID, because you don't know your CID, so I'm going to give them your CID, that way they can find you faster.
Okay.
You just just reading into everything I'm saying.
I just get gaslit all the time. I just was confused because people have me go over. I get all this information from me just to repeatedly do it again. I have reasoning behind wanting to know why you need all my information. Because people do this year after year, get all my information for me to repeat myself to get nowhere. But I think it's very destructive to have me call places for 10 years that violate me for wanting to have rights and reporting racked up felonies to Kingdom Come, including friendships and churches and family. That's why I don't want to live in this country, because people haven't been put under control for countless felonies. Yeah, obviously, someone is insane if they want family members and friendships to be in cahoots with racked up felonies, then torment and violate that party for reporting abuse. But everywhere I'm at, including churches, don't seem to get it or see it. That allowing someone to come and live in environments, rob someone, play mind games is sick. First, we got to find people with integrity, which I have not found in 10 years. He needs a second for whatever's happening. So whatever Maldonado that was that he claims that he's not, I'm reporting that I'm being violated and abused in jail, put in isolation, trash in my food, not denied library, psychological abuse and scams all over the place for emotional distress. They did shakedowns and took books when my abuser was mad, just for no reason to torment, taunt, and violate it. I kept a video diary and a calendar on the wall. They affirmations and motivational things. When he was mad, they came down and snatched everything down, put me in shackles, handcuffed my hands and my feet, and then robbed me of books.
So you're calling in about a grievance. If you need a copy of what happened to the grievance or what's going on,
I'm just not quite certain. Are you transferring me or are you answering the questions? I'm not. What's happening?
I started to transfer you, but since you're no longer in the jail, they said they can't really help you. The grievance is only for people inside the jail.
But I wanted answers to the grievance because I didn't get the answers. So I have a right, if I'm doing a grievance, to get follow up and find out what happened.
Okay, that's what I was about to tell you. That was my next part. If you want a copy of the grievance and the record of when you were in jail, you'll have to come to records, which is where the jail's at. It's the Plaza building, directly across the street from Tarrant County Jail. There's the courthouse. There's the jail. And
but when I come in person, I spend my wills. Do you give people release papers?
Only release gives the release papers, but
so when an inmate is released, they don't get release papers.
They do.
Okay, well, my arrest was threatening a criminal trespass for asking for release papers, because they tried to release me with not knowing what was going on with my case because I couldn't go to court. And I said, you're violating my rights. They deprived me of recreation, which is a crime, and scammed. They pretended like the recreation room was a closet. My cell was bigger than this room they wanted me to do rec in. Denied me of privileges to watch TV and other privileges, and left me in jail with time served, which are all kind of felonies. And tormented me, started arguments that you couldn't believe, that was caught on and blatantly lied on me. One of them said that my YouTube channel was deleted so I could be in emotional distress about proving what was happening to me, and would repeatedly start arguments and blatantly lie. There was something amiss with the toilet, and then it overflowed. It was weird, but I experienced this at multiple different locations. I flushed the toilet with nothing in it, and it stopped up. All I did, I did a test, because it would repeatedly stop up. So I flushed the toilet with nothing in it, and it overflowed. And then when it overflowed, they made me sleep with all that mess on the floor at another occasion, and would not let me clean up the cell. So this is how I was treated in isolation. And then they put me in maximum security on false charges with no reasoning, and left me in jail with time served. So I'm not quite certain why they wanted to release me and not deprive me of my constitutional right to go to court, and then wanted to release me and then wouldn't even let me know if I still had the charge. I said, that's sick. You can't do that. Then deprive me of the release papers and threaten my arrest for wanting them.
Okay, so if you want the papers, you have to go to records.
But you said you were transferring me. Your name's Maldonado. So you sure?
I'll transfer you to records if you want me to.
Well, each time I go in person, it's a game, a hamster wheel, because when I go in person, they deny me of records. I'm just not quite certain on how to report misconduct. What do you assume that I do? Because I'm really not getting anywhere. And for to put someone, it is a crime to deprive someone of recreation, but each false arrest I have, they're doing it and not getting charges. Blatantly lying on me, putting me in maximum security, letting inmates threaten me, and I'm trying to prove it's really happening. Scam with psychological abuse and torment.
Yeah, that's not my department. I can only get you to records. I can only transfer.
I'm just not really getting for 10 years. I'm just not really getting resolutions because I mean, have you ever heard of an inmate being deprived of their constitution to go to right to go to court and have an attorney and a judge?
No,
Have you ever heard of an inmate being left in jail with time served?
not that I know of.
And in addition to that, they're so crooked now, they disable my ability to be able to use the phone to get proper legal representation because my attorneys are controlled. So now with false arrest, and I can't use the phone. I'm watching inmates use the phone, have normal lives, and do things that And then these inmates are bizarre. They're covering for all kinds of abuse. They're saying, yeah, somebody else can't use, trying to normalize my extreme experiences. They're never startled now. So if they're so crooked, they're setting me up with counterfeits. You'd have to prove something like that repeatedly happens. And one of the weird acting people also terrorized me at a sober living environment with my jail stay there. I find it highly peculiar that I repeatedly find I'm connected with people that appear to be gang stalkers. And I'm trying to prove that repeatedly keeps happening, even in jail. So this same lady that I was in jail with and inmates were acting bizarre came into a sober living environment, bullied me over having a stalker, stole hid towels that were hidden so I couldn't shower properly, went through all my feminine hygiene products and used them.
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
Well, if you can help me if someone's letting people, gang stalkers in cells, because it's happened at multiple different other arrests. My last arrest, somebody that terrorized me at a shelter in Austin was also in jail with me, was yelling at the top of her lungs, threatening someone wasn't there. This is a repeated pattern, even at hospital stays. There's all these familiar faces repeatedly over and over. So if someone was crooked and let someone send a plant in the jail to scam the emotional and psychological abuse on someone like they did at a sober living environment, you'd have to prove that. Now we got to get to the bottom of why jail staff repeatedly keeps letting that happen. To let someone that's not mentally stable send his own inmates, roommates for me in jail and multiple other environments, nobody would ever believe that repeatedly keeps happening. You'd have to prove it. So someone does have something to do with someone allowing someone to abuse that much power. If she tortured me at a sober living environment, started arguments with me, demanded that I take her to a hospital.
That's not me, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, yeah, I need to find out who I need to talk to by someone allowing someone to abuse that much power.
I don't know who that person would be, so I can't help
Because it created havoc and there was all kind of other mind games. There was an inmate that jail stay that scammed and blatantly lied on me to get me put in isolation. And then when they realized that they were incriminating her and they didn't make sense, then they said they put me in maximum security for no reason. Because I did a grievance at this party. Each time that I talked about my abuser, she started arguing and torment me.
I got other calls coming in. I can't help you.
Well, I don't know why you would so many parties cover for my abuser. It's peculiar, especially on my phone. Each time, that's what she did. When I talked about my abuser, she called security, and she said that she started up again on blatant lies. So then when they got caught in the blatant lies, their scam was that we put you in maximum security for no reason, to not get charges.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm not getting directions. What number did you want me to call? Why is everyone covering up for this man?
You won't stop long enough for me to... You said you wanted records. I was going to transfer you to records, but you started talking about your...
But I wanted direction, and each time I'm trying to get accountability for this man, people have to go hang up in my face and cover for him. It's peculiar.
I can't help you with that.
But I'm just trying to get direction. If he's in lab, people are allowing him to set up roommates for me, even in jail. That's serious. You there?
I'm here, but you're not listening to me.
I thought that I was expressing what I was going through. How would I be able? You're making it an impossibility. If I'm telling you what I'm going through and all my environments have to disconnect the call while I'm telling them about my experience, I get nowhere, like I haven't gotten for 10 years.
I can't help you with that.
Okay, can you give me direction on someone that could? Because that's serious if people are allowing someone that's not mentally stable set up roommates for me, even in jail.
You're not in jail anymore.
But they're threatening another false arrest. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. You guys haven't been held accountable. So you've done it 20 plus times. He hung up. This is Dallas Behavior Hospital. My device glitched and closed on its own, and then now they're making it busy. This is how they can do the scam calls, knowing you'd never believe my story.
Wait while I transfer your call.
I'm not quite certain on how whole hospital you can't get through, but they know that I'm trying to incriminate the hospital for having me around these toxic roommates, multiple. It just hung up on its own, Hickory Trail. So they didn't want me calling Dallas Behavior. This is Hickory Trail where I got violated.
Hickory Trail Hospital, Nakia speaking.
Oh, I just was disconnected.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Nakia.
Okay. I have some questions about a hospital stay. What's the protocol if someone's getting threatened at a hospital stay with patients?
Is the patient here in the hospital?
I wanted to know if there's a patient there and another patient threatens them. What is the protocol?
They would just report it to the nurse, and then the nurse would do an investigation to see what is going on.
Okay, and then where do you get the results of the investigation?
The patient will get it from the case manager, the nurse, or the patient advocate.
Okay, I thought that they were required to switch units if there were altercations with patients. Then they would.
And they also do that as well.
Okay, you didn't say that.
If they find that in the investigation to be valid, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if an inmate threatens another inmate, then they are required to switch out units.
Now, let me get somebody that can help you.
I don't know why you would. I don't know why you don't. No one wants to tell me, including when.
Okay. So can I find out the patient ID number so that I can transfer you to the correct person?
I don't have the patient ID number, but I can give you my name. This happened. My sister blatantly lied on me, and I communicated that with the hospital, and they covered for it. And false commitments is criminal.
Were you in the hospital?
Yes, on blatant lies. The police department set up my sister to lie to take my freedom, and they set up a whole bunch of other accomplices to do the same thing.
Okay, so.
And then deny me law enforcement for the blatant lie that's provable.
Okay, say your first name for me.
It's Kiana.
To the patient advocate, you may have to leave a message and she'll give you a call back, okay?
Okay. They don't typically return my call. I'll see how this goes.
Okay, no problem. 1 second.
Via IP office, extension 6201 is not available. To leave a message, wait for the tone. When finished recording, press pound for more options. Record at the tone.
Hello, my name is Kiana Clark. I stayed there and I tried to call the police on hospital staff and they disconnected the phone, were eavesdropping while I was talking. It's been a repeated pattern. So nonetheless, they let people threaten me, taunt me, violate me, and covered for it and said it was delusions when it was on camera footage. And then the advocate indeed said that she saw the altercation, but let that party still be in that unit and didn't follow policy. So I'm not quite certain on why so many parties would let some of these random people, patients, violate and torment me and not follow policy and protocol when I'm there on false pretenses. I'm trying to prove it repeatedly keeps happening, that someone is allowing people in my environments to violate me. So nonetheless, can you please return my call to get down to the bottom of why policies aren't repeatedly followed and why people threaten me?
To approve, press pound. To record from here.
Wait while I transfer your call.
That's Dallas Behavioral. My search could be giving me fraudulent numbers. I don't know. Sometimes they don't have time to manipulate it. This other number came up. So we have Dallas Police Headquarters that won't answer the phone for years. And it's just, you just really can't get a lot done for people that have incriminated themselves. They just don't want to talk. They promise they're not racking up felonies with my phone. But some kind of way, 6 or 7 police are coming at my providers and giving me criminal trespass and intimidating me. Yes, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Chris.
Okay, what's the advocate's name there? The patient advocate? Teresa?
No, ma'am. She's no longer with us.
Oh, that keeps happening all over the place.
I can forward you to a patient advocate if that's what you like.
Okay, I have questions. If someone is threatening someone that has already threatened them at Austin Street Shelter and played mind games and did all kind of other insanity, what's the policy if they are getting threatened and tormented by a patient there?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
If there's an altercation with patients and a patient is being violated to the extreme of where someone put threw a drink on someone and then followed them around, tormented them, degrading them, and did all kind of other things, the same thing they did at Austin Street Shelter. If someone is reporting that they're getting violated and threatened by a patient, what's the policy?
Is this a patient on patient?
Yeah, if a patient is being violated by another patient, what do you guys do to protect the patient?
I work in intake, unfortunately, so I cannot give you an exact answer policy-wise.
But I would, in common sense, I would imagine that they would protect patients because that's a liability in a lawsuit. So I guess that anyone with common sense would know that you would need to remove a problematic patient and not cover for him. If a person could get legal representation, which I know a party wouldn't believe, that is a definite lawsuit to leave someone in abuse and then conspire with it. But nonetheless, let's talk to this other patient advocate since Teresa's no longer there. This is a pattern. I don't know why people have blatantly lied about people no longer having their positions for all these years. You'd have to prove it.
I'm sorry, man. I'm confused on what you're asking me now.
Okay, you said that there's another advocate. Just for my history, multiple different locations, people no longer live there that have no longer work there that have incriminated themselves. And then I found out it was blatant lies that people really did work there. They just didn't want me to know it.
Oh no, man. We definitely have a new patient advocate. That's why I'm trying to forward you to her. You'll understand. We do have a new advocate.
Okay, that's fine. You can forward me. Let's see if she's available.
Schizophrenia, anxiety issues, and more. Extension 0898.
This is not Millwood Hospital in Arlington?
No, ma'am. This is total care emergency in Cedar Hill. Hello?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, bye-bye.
This is how they can get the things, everything controlled, knowing you'd never believe my story. Now they're out, and then whatever con they have to keep me in the problem like they've done 10 years. Yes, I had some issues there, and I'm just trying to get clarity on my stay there.
Okay, what is it that you're needing?
Okay, so I had doctors starting arguments with me and playing mind games. They told me to come in for an appointment to speak with them regarding my stay there and, my treatment. Then I came in, and then he said I didn't want to talk to him and leave. I experience mind games like this all the time. Then someone came at me with a stick, and the staff left that party in the unit, did not trade us out, and then covered for her on camera footage coming at me with a stick. Then I had all kind of other torment, like people would get coffee, and then when it was my time to get the coffee, staff would leave. I get treated like this at all my hospital stays. Then they would say that they were out of coffee, and then I would be deprived of the coffee. Then there was a lady there being bizarre that was at PNS Shelter. She claims she does volunteer work, and another party from PNS Shelter that did security And they allowed me to be violated at PNS shelter, and then I'm being violated at a hospital, and they're in cahoots with that. So there was someone, the abuse was so petty. I told someone I wanted goldfish. I was amazed at how you guys treat people and how you have all these snacks out. And then they started hiding the snacks. They meant forcing me to have interaction with staff to be violated. So the staff was getting me a goldfish. So then the lady from PNS Shelter Security runs after her, and then after that she tells me they're out of goldfish. But I've experienced petty things like this years. Just like being in line to get coffee and they walk off when it's my turn to get the coffee. But all these other people have gotten coffee. It repeatedly kept happening. Then the weird things with people standing by my door, ranting and raving and threatening people that aren't there. It happens in jail when I'm on false charges by someone did it at Austin, a shelter in Austin.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry that you have that experience here. I can get you over to our patient advocate who helps with grievances.
Okay. Let's see if she answers. Let's see how this goes. Okay.
In details of your complaint, I will follow up with you within 24 hours.
Hello, this is Kiana Clark. We talked in the past about an experience that I had while I was there. I wanted to concentrate on how staff ruined my property and tried to steal my phone, and how I was threatened, and someone came at me with a stick, and staff covered for it. And you wanted to talk about something outside of those serious events. I was told that you call me back, and it never happened. Please call me back it's ringing. Lou Sterrett Joe. Before I started recording, they just come out. When I place these calls, if some of these videos you can see, they would be so furious they just come knock on the door from nowhere and tell me I was having a mental crisis just for making calls. Because you couldn't prove it, that it's they're really doing this. They did this at Red Roof Inn. Just knock from nowhere. They come to like restaurants and bus stops before I started recording. That's why I had to record. I'm just catching the bus, nothing has happened, and I'm going to jail. Trying to order food at racetrack, trying to get food, arrested. Hello? They hung up. They didn't answer Lou Sterrett Joe at all. So for years, someone's mad. My device is glitching. It won't charge properly. In addition to that, it keeps on going dead prematurely. And, it's just the glitches all over the place. It's annoying because it won't keep a charge, at least not properly. So this is the number that's coming up for Lou Sterrett Joe. I thought I stopped recording. Yes, I just need direction. I have had multiple different false arrests and was deprived of my constitutional right. May I have your name?
I'm sorry, you said you need what now?
May I have your name?
Blair.
Okay. I just need direction. I've had multiple different false arrests, and I wanted to know about experiences that I had when I was in jail on these false charges, being mistreated by inmates and staff. In addition to that, I need direction on my inability to go to court and what was happening, because they dismissed the charges. They dismissed charges but wouldn't excluded me from my court hearing and legal representation to know what was going on.
Okay, so you need to get an attorney. Either you can retain one, you can come down and see if they can get you one if you qualify for one.
Oh, can I ask more questions? Okay, so I just want to make sure I have clarity. And what's your position?
Ma'am, what is the next question, please?
Oh, you don't want me to know your position? Okay, so I thought it was peculiar because you used to get call the court for information and direction.
You can, but what else is the other question?
Oh, you can, but you telling me to get an attorney?
Yeah, you have to get an attorney if you want to come to court.
No, there's a disconnect, and there's a disconnect as it's been for 10 years. So I'm trying to get clarity on what happened with the court, because I was deprived of my constitutional right to go to court. And there's like a disconnect all over the place, excluding me from proper treatment. You there?
You can get an attorney, you can hire one, or you can get one for...
Why would the court withhold information and deprive me of my constitutional right to go to court and knowledge on my case? Why would multiple different courts repeatedly do that? Isn't that violating my rights? To give me false charges and deprive me of any knowledge on what's going on with my case? And enlist armies full of accomplices to be in cahoots with that? Isn't that a violation of
I'm
my
sorry, is your
constitutional
name Miss
rights?
Clark?
Yes. How would you know
Okay,
that?
Miss Clark. So what I'm going to tell you is you can hire your attorney or you can retain your attorney if you come down here and you can qualify. Going forward, I can't give you any other information. I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay, where can I go get information on my case?
You come down to
What
the
number do I
courthouse,
call?
133 North Riverfront.
I don't want to come in person. I like to be able to make phone calls and, get my records.
Okay, well, I can't help you, Miss Clark.
What did I call?
I'm sorry?
What did I call?
I can give you the numbers upstairs. You can get a public defender.
Okay, what did I call? These are like mind games, ma'am, that I've had to endure years. If someone's already on the call, why is it all this commotion for me to get things done for 10 years? That's why I've been trapped in felonies that are repeatedly committed to me.
Hi, do you have your case number?
I'm sorry, who are you?
Caesar? Do you have a case number?
I'm not. What is your position? I just got transferred to you. I get mistreated all the time. You're who?
The supervisor of this court.
Okay. Yes, I can give you my name. I don't have a case number. There's multiple different cases that I have confusion about. I wasn't allowed to go to court.
Date of birth.
So how many cases do you see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like 5 or 6.
Okay. So are they all dismissed?
No, none of them are just. Well, hold on. So I'm looking. You got to look up every one individually. So this one. Yeah, this.
Okay. What court are they out of?
Courts of Appeals number 1.
Okay. What number is that?
Here, let me get it. Hold on.
Okay. That's 653-5700.
It's 214-653. Yeah, 5700.
Are you able to transfer me?
Yes, hold on, please.
Okay.
This is Katrina. How may I help?
Yes, I have a question. My last stint there at I had a situation there at the court that they're expressing. Can I give you my name?
Yes, ma'am. Is this about a ticket or a traffic court? Have you appealed any tickets lately?
I just get the runaround for all these extended amount of time. Can I tell you? Let me tell you what happened, and then maybe you could help direct, because I just get the runaround and all these mind games for years to get nowhere, repeating myself over and over.
Okay.
So I was in jail.
I can definitely try to help.
Okay.
Do you have your case number by any chance?
No, let me tell you what I'm going through, and then you can direct from that way. Okay, so I was in jail on false charges. Okay, so the court demanded that I get mental health treatment at my dismissal to not get felonies. So they demanded that I go to the living room. Okay, so I went to the living room, and she tells me that she can see that I'm getting Social Security. I said, well, they won't give it to me in corruption. She says, hold on, let me look and check. Then she comes back and says, I can no longer help you. You need to leave. So the court demanded that I get mental health treatment not to get felonies, and then I went to the living room, and then they denied it. They sent me over to Salvation Army in Dallas to get violated and slandered there and detained.
Okay. Can I get your name? I can look up your case if you have a case with us.
Okay.
Can I get your first and last name, please?
Yes.
Let's see. I'm looking for some open cases here.
They're not open. They're not open, but I'm trying to get clarity on how they can misconstrue that my freedom was taken and, repeatedly over and over, and deprive me of my constitutional right to go to court, which I thought was a constitutional violation, right of my constitutional rights, and then slander me with mental illness and not get be held accountable for the repeated ramped up felonies. I'm sorry, what were you saying while I was talking?
I'm sorry. Yes, do you remember what you went to jail for?
Sometimes I went to jail and I didn't even know what happened. Like in Garland, they told me I had a false arrest. They told me that I had a warrant, and I didn't even know why. I never went to court. They told me I had a warrant. I was blacklisted from all shelter. It was cold outside, so I just turned myself in when Garland police, because everywhere I went was denying me of shelter and corruption. My life was in jeopardy, but I couldn't make anyone do anything or protect me against a massive amount of violations. Since I knew I had no one on the planet, I just turned myself in on these charges and then questioned what was happening. I never went to court to find out why I had a warrant. I still don't
Can I
know.
place you on a brief hold, ma'am, so I
Okay.
can better assist you? Is that okay? Let
Yes.
me get a little bit more information. Just one moment. Thank you.
They're actors. Can we convince YouTube that we are not scammers and not racking up countless felonies? All we need to do is enlist people in her environments to be in cahoots. No one will ever believe her story. That way, all our countless insanity and felonies for profit will be ignored. We have a great alibi. Who will ever believe we've done this? I think if someone's alibi they're using is that nobody will believe we're doing this to her, is a threat to national security. If the government knows that they can get away with felonies because nobody will believe my story, is that a threat to your safety too?
Court, this is Vanessa. How can I help you?
I have no clue what's happening. Can I give you my name? I keep getting transferred for 10 years to not really get anything resolved. And I can't go to court to get anything resolved either. It's Kiana. Okay. May I have your name too? What's your name?
Sure, my name is Vanessa.
Okay, and what court was this?
This is Court of Appeals 1. Is that the court you called?
What I got transferred to you, and what was the judge's name?
I'm sorry?
What's the judge's name for this court?
The judge's name is Christian Wade.
Christian Wade. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't call. I get mistreated on all my calls. It's really bizarre. And intimidation and bullying for trying to get my business taken care of. It's the strangest thing.
Okay, ma'am, what is your date of birth?
I gotta be put on hold again? Okay, ma'am, it's happened for 10
No,
years.
I'm not putting you on hold. I said hold on just 1 second.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just looking up your information.
Okay, thank you.
Your cases, and I see that your attorney here is Randall Scott. That's who you'll need to speak with.
You don't know why I'm calling, ma'am. This is ridiculous. You don't even know why I called the court, and you're demanding that I speak with an attorney. You don't,
ma'am. Exactly. And when we've been told that if we see that your attorney is Randall Scott, we're not to discuss anything. We can't give you any information.
I called Randall Scott and he hung up in my face when I questioned why he didn't look at the body cam footage for me being arrested, trying to report how I get violated on DART by Lindsay, who had already took my freedom before and didn't have reasoning for her. I'm not. If I
him and have him call you.
Well, here's the thing. Who do I report to that I was arrested and they didn't know why they did it the first time? And then when I tried to get clarity on why I had a criminal trespass and I had all these vital things going on from using all transit from nowhere as an alibi for the... I'm not able to speak, ma'am. I've already spoke to Randall Scott and he was nervous and then said that he had to, he's not a personal injury attorney and never returned my calls. But if I can be able to communicate properly on why I called the court, then we can get an avenue. Can you let me speak, ma'am? Because being treated like this years has caused a speech impediment. People deliberately keep interfering in me talking and not being able to get in my business taken care of. So can I tell you why I called the court? I would like to address some issues with the court and not be railroaded and forced into problems. But if you can't, I can't address the issues with the court if you're demanding that I speak to Randall Scott. I have some issues with the court that I like to address with the court. And I would like to get direction on the questions that I have with the court. I've been transferred years to get nowhere. So Randall Scott isn't working. I would like to know why the court sent me to the living room and then the living room deprived me of assistance. And why I was deprived of my constitutional right to appear at court. Randall Scott doesn't have those answers. I've already talked to them. Why would the judge demand that I speak with an attorney on her behavior?
Okay, ma'am. The only thing that I can do is either take your number down and have Mr. Scott call you.
I don't understand. What's your position?
I'm the supervisor here, and I can't discuss your cases.
So you're demanding. Most people can't, since I'm targeted. So I want to get clarity. The court is demanding that I speak to Randall Scott on answers of their behavior.
Yes.
If it sounds like that you're using Randall Scott as a scapegoat to get away with felonies. I think you want me to speak with Randall Scott so you don't have to justify the court's bad behavior. So you're demanding that I speak to Randall Scott knowing that he's being influenced and I can't get anything accomplished. Randall Scott can't tell me why the court decided to rack up felonies. Only the court can express that. And I think your inability to want to discuss what happened and with my case is a red flag that you meet your charges. You don't demand that I speak with an attorney court after court after court to not incriminate themselves and not get felonies for charges for crimes they chose to commit. I have questions about the court's behavior, not Randall Scott's. So I would like to know why multiple different times I was violated and denied my constitutional right to go to court, why policies and protocols haven't been followed, and why you guys haven't got your charges for misconduct and criminal activity. There's multiple different charges that I have, and Randall Scott hasn't always been my legal representation. I would like to know why the court thought I was mentally ill to need Randall Scott, whatever his position was, when Lindsay arrested me trying to report how I was mistreated on body cam footage. You can see the first false arrest, Lindsay coming to me, 7 or 8 police from nowhere, slandering me and taking my freedom for using transit. I had just got there, within 2 or 3 minutes, 7 or 8 police rushed to me, evidence that I'm being illegally monitored, took my freedom and didn't know why they did it. I never found out because the court deprived me of my constitutional right to go. Now you're trying to slander and lie and pin it on Randall Scott so you guys don't get your wrecked up charges.
Okay, ma'am, I'm not trying to pin anything on Randall. I'm trying to get you in contact with Randall.
Randall Scott doesn't have the answers on why the court would not review the body cam footage of Lindsay with 7 or 8 police rushing to me when they should not have known that I was trying to use transit, taking my freedom and did not know why they did it. The court didn't know why I did it. Why they did it. To this day, I still don't know. Trying to follow up and get knowledge, I get intimidated and bullied. I want to know why the court deprived me of my constitutional right to go to court. Randall Scott don't have all of this. This happened multiple different times.
I don't have those answers either. So Randall Scott being your attorney.
So he wasn't my attorney, ma'am, for all of these cases. I'm not being heard year after year. So how many cases do you have at this court?
Ma'am, I'm not entitled to give you that information.
But he wasn't always my attorney. If you're trapping me in a problem and you're racking up felonies for yourself, if you're trying to cover for misconduct, you have no right to do that. These are crimes. If Randall Scott was my attorney, why would you demand me to speak with someone that's not my legal representation to find out why the court racked up felonies for themselves?
Okay, ma'am, I'm not asking that you speak with anybody else. I'm trying to get you in contact.
I'm not being heard. Randall Scott is pretending like he has dementia and hung up in my face saying that he was not a personal injury attorney to cover for crimes. But I have multiple different false arrests, and I'm trying to get to the origin on who I need to talk to on why the court had misconduct and trying to deflect and blame it on an attorney and not be able to have to answer questions and get accountability for felonies they chose to rack up. Since it repeatedly keeps happening, I want answers on the court's crimes and why they haven't been held accountable. Randall Scott can't answer why the court chose to rack up felonies for themselves. You can't keep on passing the buck. I have multiple different false arrests, and he wasn't my legal representation. And repeatedly for 10 years, I'm not being heard. I don't want you to deflect and then tell me the church let me get drug out of it, saying to let the police tell you why we did it. Randall Scott can't tell me why you racked up felonies. Only you can give me that knowledge. So if I have multiple different false arrests, if I have multiple different false arrests and Randall Scott was not my legal representation, why would you demand to speak with someone that was not my attorney for all my different false arrests? To get answers, to get clarity on why the court chose to rack up charges for themselves. Why would you demand that Randall Scott answer questions about your misconduct and criminal activity?
Because they're not mine personally. And again, ma'am,
I think that you're accomplice, because if you wouldn't let me properly speak it initially and tried to railroad me to speak in the Randall Scott to answer questions about crimes that the court committed, that's a red flag that perhaps maybe you have integrity issues. Randall Scott is not going to help me with all these different false charges. You got my name. How many cases did you see?
There's several.
So if he's not my attorney, why would you railroad me to speak with someone that wasn't always my legal representation?
Okay,
someone that gave me no answers.
I'm just stating what I'm seeing in the computer, that he is your attorney.
So he was my attorney for all these other charges?
Do you have a particular case number?
You're looking at it, ma'am. You're looking at it. I don't have answers because I couldn't go to court. I don't know what happened. And Randall Scott won't tell me because my constitutional rights were violated, which is criminal, and people don't seem to be being held accountable. So nonetheless, I called you for answers, and you're deflecting and asking me for the answers to things that I don't have. I'm calling you for answers. So how many cases do you see, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am, there are several. There's probably 5 or 6 on here that I'm looking at.
Okay,
so
so
let me ask you a question first. Give me a moment to speak. Let me ask you a
but
question.
here's the problem. I called you for answers.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
Okay,
Give
go
me
ahead.
a
Go
moment
ahead,
to
ma'am.
speak. Okay. If you don't mind, do you have a telephone number where I can contact you? I will get in touch with Randall and see exactly what's going on, and either I or Randall will call you back and tell you who exactly you need to speak with. I can't answer your questions.
Okay, but can I tell you why I called, ma'am? This is, abusive. This is the court, and you have 5 or 6 cases?
These are just cases for you.
Okay, this is a court. This is a court.
That Randall Scott is your attorney. I can't speak to you about these cases.
Okay, so let me make sure I have clarity. Randall Scott was my attorney for 5 or 6 cases?
Yes, ma'am.
That's not true, ma'am. But most of them I would not. Okay, hold on. I don't know. I location after location, I'm not able to speak and get anything addressed. Why would parties repeatedly railroad me and behave this way and panic when I'm asking questions and deprive me of rights that other parties have to get information repeatedly over and over? So back to the 5 or 6 cases that you see.
Okay, so.
But back to the 5 or 6 cases, why was I deprived of my constitutional right to go to court for 5 or 6 cases? Can the court answer that?
I cannot answer those questions for you. The only thing that I could do is try to help you.
I think the court has racked up felonies for themselves, and then to cannot have accountability for their crimes, that they're railroaded me to speak with an attorney that they know is crooked and I can't get any answers through. I think that you guys are crooked and you are scared and frightened and don't want me to have anything. You don't want to incriminate anyone. So therefore, you can't give me all these locations, can't pretend like they can't treat me like normal citizens and get any knowledge of my case. That's a blatant lie. Randall Scott was not my attorney for all those 5 or 6 cases, but you know that he's crooked and you want to railroad me back to someone I can't talk to. And you're scamming to keep me from knowledge on why the court deprived me of my constitutional right 5 or 6 times to go to court. And you need an alibi for your behavior, and you're blaming it on Randall Scott. If I'm calling a court, you have no right to demand that I speak to the attorney to validate your bad behavior and criminal activity. I'm surprised you.
I'm not demanding that you speak to Randall. I'm just asking you to either contact him or that I will have him contact you.
But if he wasn't my attorney, ma'am, that's not making sense. I want to know why the judge would not let me appear at court. I want to know from the judge's notes why she would not let me appear at court 5 to 6 times on false charges, and why she deemed that I need to speak with. I'm not able to speak to tell you why I called, ma'am, and all this is psychologically abusive. So if I want to know why she deemed that someone taking my freedom for trying to catch the bus, then taking my freedom again for reporting abuse that I experienced on DART, why she thinks that I need to speak to Randall Scott when she's the judge and saw it happening on body cam footage, then deprive me of my constitutional right to fight the bogus charge. You just can't take a bribe and then take someone to jail for using transit.
Okay, well, ma'am, again, I can't answer those questions. I'm not an attorney, so I can't answer those questions.
That's the scam that they've been using, but since I've been targeted, people didn't demand that you hire an attorney to get nowhere. They would freely give information on your case or let you go to court. But since people are racking up felonies, they're blatantly lying and think that I'm stupid and trying to convince me that you have to have an attorney to find out what's going on with your case. But it's sick that people exclude me from knowledge of what's going on in my life because they don't have they don't have an excuse for their criminal activity. So they choose to concoct all these schemes so I can get nowhere and play games with words to not have accountability for countless felonies they chose to rack up. Randall Scott, I've already tried to talk to him. He doesn't have answers on why you guys chose to rack up felonies. He doesn't know. I'm asking the court why you chose to rack up charges for yourself. I would like to know that from the court and not Randall Scott. Why did the judge deprive me of my constitutional right to go to court all these times? Deny proper legal representation, didn't follow policies and protocols, and why she condoned a police officer taking my freedom for trying to use transit on body cam footage. Then the second time taking my freedom for trying to report abuse that I experienced on DART that jeopardized my safety, that almost killed me. I suspect the police department and the government's behind why I've been getting tortured, therefore tried to cover for it and arrested me to cover for crimes that they had people, for crimes that they enlisted people to commit. That's what I think happened.
Okay. And I apologize for all of that. I really do. I mean, yeah, but again, ma'am, I wish that I could help you, but the only help that I can offer, and I'm just basing it on my records that I'm looking at.
No, well, see, you're mistaken if there's misconduct, that there's mandatory reporting that nobody's willing to do. There is something that can be done about countless government officials racking up all kind of countless felonies. But the if you can have convinced someone that you violating them for 10 years doesn't carry any weight or charges. If you can convince that party that you are not breaking the law and others, that way you don't get your countless felonies. Then that way you don't get your charges. I don't believe you. I think this is a conspiracy, and I think that you guys need the felony charges that you have chosen to rack up for yourselves. Your behavior has been outrageous and out of control. And then repeatedly location, I don't know why I racked up felonies. I don't know the duffel bag being passed year after year, extreme violations. All these different parties want to normalize someone being violated to an extreme. I think it's sick, and I think you guys should have had your prison sentences a long time ago. And all this, I don't know, I can't, yeah, I don't want to get the charges, this is the truth. And all these felonies repeatedly racked up with no accountability year after year. I don't believe you. I think that you're covering for it and you're deliberately depriving me of direction on what to do with all these racked up felonies. Randall Scott was not my attorney. The court should have answers on why they deprived me of my constitutional right to go to court all these different times and why they demand that I speak with an attorney to validate their bad behavior and criminal activity. Why would the court demand that I speak with someone else to validate crimes that they chose to commit?
Okay, ma'am? Ma'am?
Yes.
Again, do you have a telephone number that if I can find some answers for you, I can call you back?
Yes, but I don't get my calls returned. We can see how this goes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I can give you my phone number. I don't get my calls returned. We'll see how this goes.
What's the telephone number? Let me try to find somebody that can answer some of your questions.
Who is that somebody, ma'am? Is it Randall Scott, or who are you going to have, this crooked attorney? Who are you going to have? Is it someone with the court that I'm asking to speak with?
Ma'am, I don't know. Because what I'm going to have to do is, again, all the records that I show is Randall Scott. So I'm not saying that Randall will contact you, but I will try to find somebody that can speak to you and maybe answer some of your questions.
Okay, and what was your name again?
My name is Vanessa.
And what was your position?
I'm the supervisor in Court of Appeals 1.
Okay, and what judge is this?
Judge Wade.
Okay, so Judge Wade for Court of Appeals for 6 arrests for trying 6 false arrests. Is that typical for it to be a Court of Appeals?
I'm sorry. Now, what
I'm not. It's a Court of Appeals for 6 false arrests.
Your cases, okay, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. Your cases, like I said, fall under Christian Wade. And like I said, our records...
I'm just trying to get clarity on how I got with Court of Appeals. Maybe I don't have legal knowledge because I'm not quite certain on why I got a Court of Appeals.
Okay, your cases fall under Court of Appeals 1 for Christian Wade. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Well, I don't know either because I was robbed of my constitutional right to go to court. Maybe that's who would take the bribes, the Court of Appeals. So I'm just, what is a Court of Appeals typically used for? Appeals court.
Okay. Let me put you on. Can I put you on hold for just a second?
Yeah,
I'm trying to find somebody for you to talk to. So let me put you on hold for just a second, okay?
Okay. So I was trying to state before, they just knock at the door. Sky's the limit. No rhyme, reasoning. You're having a mental crisis. There's no rhyme or reason at a bus stop. You're going to jail. No rhyme or reason. Set me up at a bus stop alone. So I had to record. So it was terrifying because I would be in my own environment alone, and I couldn't live in Dallas because they kept doing it. So they enlist the hotels to be in cahoots and have the hotels slander me as validation for their reasoning to be there, to blacklist me from all the whole community of hotels in Dallas. I can't live there. So what they're doing is, since Frank Crowley is no longer covering for their false arrest, they need me to leave and go to places that will take my freedom for profit. I can't be in Dallas because the Frank Crowley, they can't set up false arrest there. So they figure if they torment me and violate me and put me out of hotel stays, if they come to bus stops and try to set me up and have shelters blacklist me, then it'll force me out the location. So to other locations that haven't racked up charges for themselves. That way there's a clear slate for more false arrest and abuse. It's deliberate, and I'm trying to show a conspiracy of racked up felonies. I mean, sky's the limit. When one location's incriminated, force her out this location, and we can start the insanity all over again, fresh and clean. If it's a brand new location, we'll start with the church. We'll enlist the church in psychological abuse and torment. Start that way. Her environments for mind games and torment, knowing nobody would believe the story. That's where we can start until we can build up this false arrest. Where there's a will, there's a way to rack up felonies and not get charges. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
we've got someone. Can you hold on for just a second?
Okay.
We've got someone coming down. I don't know who it is. We've got one coming down that's going to try to talk to you. Okay.
I think that's a red flag, ma'am. You've had someone's coming down and you don't know who it is.
Ma'am, we call up on the floor where the attorneys are, and we just asked. We're trying to take your call as a important phone call. So they just said they'll send someone down. Again, like I said, on my records indicate that your attorney is Randall Scott, and you're saying that it's not.
I don't know. I wasn't allowed to go to court. Maybe the court set up for this counterfeit attorney. Maybe that's what's happening. The court wants someone that they can ensure that'll cover for their felonies, and then they can sign the same toxic legal representation they know that'll conceal their crimes. Maybe that's repeatedly what's happening. So I don't know because I wasn't allowed to go to court to know who my attorney repeatedly was.
Okay, so do you want answers to your questions?
I do. I would like it. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, I can wait. I just don't know where to report crimes because each party I talk to is covering for them.
Okay,
So no one's outraged by all the racked up felonies, and they seem to want to distract and cover for the insanity. So I'm not quite certain. I thought it was mandatory reporting that everyone refuses to do.
I'm trying to get somebody that may be able to.
That may be. I don't understand why you would get someone that may be able to answer the question. Because I've been on the whole for with you an extended amount of time, and in fact, this has happened years, as you can see from this false arrest, that people just don't seem to have the answers for all these years, which is what I addressed to you. But not having the answers is jail sentences for a lot of people.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get you answers.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you some answers. So again, I'm trying to help you.
Thank you, because it happened with Judge Crane in Itasca, Hillsborough Hill County Jail. It just repeatedly keeps happening that people don't seem to have the answers for charges for crimes that they choose to commit.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get you some answers.
Okay, thank you. I don't know why people have to try and it can't be successful. Why all these people don't want me to go to court on false charges year after year.
Okay.
I'm not quite certain on why they have to try to talk to me. It's a play on words, ma'am. That's bizarre. I wouldn't assume that they would talk to me. Why would they come down to try to talk to me? I think that's a red flag, ma'am. I keep experiencing things like that, of play with words and mind games. But okay, ma'am. Not quite certain again, ma'am, why they would try to get me answers. Because they're not violating someone's constitutional right to have answers is criminal. A person has a constitutional right to have answers regarding their case, and not depriving them those answers for a court is criminal. It's a violation of the constitutional right. There's laws that have to be followed, and you can't verbalize your words to say, we'll try to get answers for you when you were deprived of your constitutional right to appear at court. You have an obligation to provide these answers that have not been provided for me for 10 years plus. So just like I was trying to say, they're trying to make special circumstances, like Judge Crane had the special court date at 7 p.m. so he didn't get charges for crimes he was committing. So the other court dates I couldn't appear at. This man did a bond, and this lady that was arrested and now deceased would not take me to court. She took bribes and had her jail staff deprive me of my constitutional right to go to court. Since that's outrageous, Judge Crane had to cover for it. He also wrote a PR bond. This same lady had her jail staff deprive me of the bond. The sheriff came out and investigated this lady, told her to give me the bond. She still would not do it, was eventually arrested. I have no clue what's going on. I'm excluded from all legal representation of knowledge of what's happening. But the sheriff said, give this lady her bond to this same lady that went to jail and was later had died in jail. I mean, in the hospital. I don't know what happened. But nonetheless, the sheriff said, give this lady her bond. It never happened. Too much duffel bags, too much money was exchanged. And it never happened. They weren't willing. Someone paid for the false arrest, and they weren't willing to give me the PR bond that Judge Crane issued. Some kind of way he looks like a movie star, and he covered for all the insanity. So I said I tried to hire a bond company. The bond company started behaving bizarre when they were trying to get me out. Then he said, Judge Crane said, you're supposed to be out today, out of his own mouth. We called them. We thought it was fruitless to pay for you to have to pay for a bond if you're getting out today. It never happened. Then Judge Crane helped this lady that was arrested to not get her felonies, said that blew it off and covered for the crime. Judge Crane's court said you would be getting out today for this bond company. I had saved up my money. I save up my money all the time, and I had money in my account. My family wouldn't help me get out. They covered for it, told them I was getting threatened and violated. They would not bail me out of jail with my own money. So the attorney said, the bond company said, Judge Crane's court said you would be getting out today, but the jail staff would not let me out, even though Judge Crane said to let me out, and then held the bond and got caught in it. So I had that for my quick daughter, I had wrote a letter to CPS and to the court. These inmates, I wasn't paying attention, and the inmates took the board that we put up to let the jail staff to know that we had a letter. They took it. They were trying to prevent me from mailing these letters regarding my child. Random inmates. The inmates later threatened me, and jail staff put me in isolation when they did. So nonetheless, the inmate actually let it slip, and then was caught in the fact that she was set up. She said she knew something. She said she didn't know me, and then she told me something about another inmate threatening me. She said she never heard of me. So then when she got caught in her lie that, I'm being set up by these inmates, the Mary punished her. She had extra privileges. She loved to read, and she had this particular cell had its own library, and it shouldn't have. So when she got caught in that lie, the officer, our officer for the cell, came to take all these books when she got caught in her lie, and she started crying. This is what I ain't for anyone willing to do law enforcement. So then after that happened, I was still able to, I realized what she was doing. So I watched the letters. I didn't know who did it, but I watched the letters to make sure they got mailed out. Some kind of way, the letter that I mailed to the 255th District Court regarding multiple different false statements from about my daughter to keep me away from her. 255th District Court returned the letter, returned to sender. But I know it's the right address because I wrote them multiple different letters that are not in any of the information. It's this big, huge conspiracy. So since they are racking up all countless crimes, postal crimes, I don't know if the post office took bribes to return this letter to sender. Because if it's a whole court, why would the court return a vital evidence for a court case, return the sender to someone that was in jail? Then I got served multiple times. They never called me back about that. That all disappeared. How can you child? I need to calm down. A CPS social worker serve someone saying that your rights are being terminated to this jail, and it all disappeared. You have to appear at court, and then they had caused conflict because I couldn't appear at court, but I was in jail. You know I'm in jail on false charges. Why are you going to demand and say that you're terminating my rights because I can't appear at court when I'm in jail and the jail won't take me to court? As well, the CPS court or the court for my criminal case. And this woman was eventually arrested. So I can't go to court if I'm in jail and the jail won't take me to multiple different court cases. Someone's coming down. I know you have to see it to believe it. 45 minutes, in fact 10 years, to get nowhere. Still problems with this brand new device that I just activated. This is how I'm treated, enforced by the government. Access to my devices denied. Rights denied to go to court. Services denied. Access to your daughter denied. Access to transit denied. Law enforcement denied. Freedom of religion denied. Support systems denied. This is one of the arrests. The police, they should have had body cam footage on at Red Roof
Police
Inn.
reports.
They came
Why
on
would
their
you
own
want
when I
to?
was
Are
reporting
you trying
crimes on their
to do
phone.
something regarding the police reports?
I'm sorry, what?
So first they tried to frame me with mental illness, but I was recording the crooked police. So then they enlisted Red Roof Inn to lie and slander me as validation for getting me out the safety of a hotel room, knowing you'd never believe my story. So then when they got caught in their lie, I was assaulted and arrested because they can furnish reasoning why I was being put out of a room, the hotel room that I paid a whole week for. But it repeatedly kept happening, schemes to get me out the safety of hotel rooms. So they Motel 6,
Let's go ahead and open it.
didn't know
Alright,
why
what's
they
your
were
name?
putting me
I'm
out.
Officer Schick. What can I do
But
for
since
you?
the police
Your badge
department
number?
set it up,
210.
they had to
Okay, are you-
interrupt the hotel being incriminated. So they interrupted it with an arrest and an assault. This is one of the things that these people don't want to talk about on this call. So I have which I believe is my abuser's site that he's hiding behind fake people, states that I was creating a disturbance, but they can't furnish what the disturbance was. Because all I was doing is calling all morning on my phone trying to flee abuse and report crimes the government repeatedly keeps committing. That's the only disturbance that I was making, trying to get them their charges they chose for crimes they
Trying
chose
to
to
bully
commit.
me because I'm trying to escape a
They
domestic
just came on
abuse.
their own.
No, I'm not trying to bully you at all.
Okay, so how do I?
Just came. I didn't call them. So what I'm trying to do is incriminate them since they came on their own to ask them questions about the domestic abuse they're enlisted in. They're trying to frame me with mental illness, but I'm purposely telling them about the abuse to incriminate them. So since that plan didn't work, they had to go to plan B, which is enlist Red Roof Inn to lie. Hello?
Yeah, Ms. Clark, this is Randall Scott, attorney. Can I help you?
Yes, you know who you're speaking with?
Escape it. Domestic abuse.
It's Kayana.
Yes, because last time I talked to you, hung up and you never called me back.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Kayana, but what can I do for you?
Okay, do you have any info? They said that you had 5 or 6 cases. I didn't see you for 5 or 6 cases. Why would you deprive me of legal representation? I only saw you for when Lindsay I almost got killed using transit. I almost fell up under the bus because the bus driver closed and slammed the door to keep me from using transit. And multiple different bus drivers treated me that way. And I have evidence. And you have evidence of it too because Lindsay arrested me for trying to report it on Eckerd. And anybody the buses, they have cameras and sound. And anyone doing legal representation representing me and the court, they have obligation to, check these body cam footage and the footage for that will have what things that happened on the bus. That this bus driver deliberately closed the door in my face to keep me from using transit. Another bus driver closed the door on me and had me bleeding. Because they tried to close the door before I got it and got to the bus, but they missed it and actually closed the door on me and caught my finger in it and it was bleeding. And I reported it to staff, but I'm not. And then they trapped me in on trains and buses. I'm not quite certain on why an army full of accomplices would cover for insanity like that. That's been on camera footage. But nonetheless, can you explain to me, if you were my legal representation for all these cases, why I never saw you on a lot of them? Isn't that violating my constitutional rights?
I don't know what you're talking about, Kiana. I'll have to look up whatever you're talking about. I don't know what cases you're talking about.
Okay, I don't either, because you didn't represent me. They're saying that you're claiming that you were my attorney, and we already discussed it before. And I feel in this a violation of my rights if I have a case and people won't tell me about my case as my legal, because you didn't represent me properly. So if I have a case and nobody will tell me about my case, does that violate my rights, legal representation?
Well, I'm happy to talk to you about whatever you got going. You're just going to have to let me catch up to speed here. You're just calling out of the flu, Kayana.
But my question of it is, well, I shouldn't have to call out of the flu. If you were my attorney, I don't understand why I was deprived of my constitutional rights to have you represent me properly. So that first off, there's misconduct. If you were my legal representation, and when I was in jail on false charges, you didn't represent me. So I'm calling out the blue because I never saw you on these false charges. But however, we can get a resolution, because nobody will tell me what happened repeatedly with these false charges. So if you can express to me what happened, because I didn't see you.
Well,
or go to court.
All these cases, I suspect I got them all dismissed, Kayana.
Well, they were false charges, and I'm just questioning why nobody got accountability for crimes that they committed. You just can't take bribes and repeatedly take someone's freedom, and then this enraged, jealous party don't want someone using transit, so you take their freedom all fixed up, knowing that nobody would ever believe the story. So what charges did these people get for taking my freedom for profit?
Yeah, I don't know, Kayana. That's a civil rights issue. I'm not a civil rights lawyer. I'm a defense lawyer.
I thought as my legal representation, you had a responsibility to report misconduct and criminal activity to prosecutors, district attorney, or whoever. I didn't think that people could repeatedly rack up felonies. So you said you got all the charges dismissed?
Okay.
Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Is it correct that you said you got all the charges dismissed?
I don't know. I would have to look them up, Kayana.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I don't know. I was on hold in a exceptional amount of time. I don't know what's going on. I'm in the blue.
Kayana, is this your phone number?
So you need to call me back?
Yeah.
Wow, this has been on a long time to get nowhere. Okay, I left messages for you. You didn't return my call, so they just flagged you down to not know anything?
Ma'am, do you want me to look into the cases that I handled for you and tell you what the dispositions were? Not?
Yes, I do. I get railroaded and controlled, sir, year after year, and to enforce crimes on me.
I think I've told you before, but I'll look them all up again and tell you again, okay?
You didn't tell me before. You pretended like you were that you thought I was personal injury and never returned my calls. What are you talking about? You said you didn't know me. You said that you don't do personal injury to cover up for your criminal activity. Handling the case is a crime, and you've done it. There's evidence, because there's some cases you wouldn't even represent me on, and I didn't even know you were my attorney. So that's evidence that you hindered my case. That's criminal. Then you pretended like there was no way that you can review body cam footage, which was further hindering the case.
I'm very sorry. You're very confused. So in any event,
I'm very confused. I get slandered all the time. If I never appeared at court and my constitutional rights were violated, that's not confusion. If I didn't see you and know you were in my legal representation, that's apparent criminal activity. It's not confusion. I'm not quite certain on why you would slander me to not get held accountable for your criminal activity.
You have all the answers. I don't even know why you're calling me. Okay?
I don't have the answers. I wasn't able to appear at court.
Yes, you do. You're telling me. You aren't asking me anything. You're just telling me. So anyway, thank you very much for your inquiries. I will check those cases.
Do you have my number?
I think I do. If this is a good number.
When should I expect your call? Because I haven't had it in all these years. When should I expect your call?
I will get back to you within 24 hours.
Okay, I have a question. Since you're an attorney, can someone be deprived of their constitutional right to go to court? Is that legal?
Ma'am, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a question in general. Can a citizen be deprived? I'm not quite certain on how you're going to properly represent me if you don't want me to know something as vital as, can a citizen be robbed of their constitutional right to appear at court? That's not a big. I mean, you should know that up front. So can a citizen be deprived?
Why is it important to you?
Because it repeatedly keeps happening. So I'd like to know if it's legal to deprive someone of their constitutional right to appear at court as my legal representation. That would be vital information that I would need.
Do you want me to call you back? I'm not going to answer that question. It doesn't even make sense.
I feel like I'm being gaslit. I think that that's a pivotal question. I don't know why you wouldn't want me to know about court corruption and misconduct. If they're depriving me of my constitutional right to go to court, that's serious. I think that it shows that you have integrity issues. If you don't want me to know about something that's serious.
Study constitutional law. Go study constitutional law.
But if you're my defender and you're trying to represent me, why would you withhold that vital information? Because if the court has integrity issues, are you in cahoots with it? That is criminal if you are. You're sugarcoating a wrecked up felony, sir.
Calm down. You're on a rant. You're being rude. You're being disrespectful.
I don't think that you gaslighting me to conceal felony charges that people should have received a long time ago. I don't know why you would hide the fact that and not want me to know if someone can legally deprive someone of their constitutional right to go to court 20 plus times. That shows a track record of criminal activity, and as a legal representation, it seems like you're compromised, which is criminal. Hindering the case is a crime, and you gaslighting me and blaming me for criminal activity for crimes that you committed, as well as armies full of others. If someone were to investigate you, that's not going to alleviate you for those charges. You blaming me for your crimes repeatedly over and over. So nonetheless, I don't understand, as I understand that you didn't effectively represent me because you don't even want me to know something that's serious can a court deprive someone of their constitutional right to appear at court? If you don't want me to know that, that's a red flag. You're in cahoots. And another red flag is that I didn't even know you were my attorney for a lot of these cases because I couldn't even see you. He hung up. Yes, is the chief of police there?
The chief.
Yes.
Ma'am, you said the chief of police?
Right. Dart Police.
Can I ask who's calling?
Yes, I had a criminal trespass from using transit in a crisis situation where I had all kind of important business to take care of. And they gave me a criminal trespass. At first, they gave me a criminal trespass from all the court areas. And then in the Northern District Court, where I had a civil case against my abuser. Then when they realized it was too incriminating, they gave me a criminal trespass from using all transit and corruption. So I was arrested in the scheme, and they deprived me of knowledge on why they chose to give me a criminal trespass when it was evidence I was getting violated using transit. And since the courts and armies full of people are in cahoots with cover up and criminal activity, no one's telling me where this criminal trespass came from. When I tried to report all of this insanity to the chief, he said that I indeed had a criminal trespass, but nobody can furnish reasoning behind why I got it, trying to flee domestic violence. It seems like it's clear-cut obstruction of justice, if you ask me, because trying to give someone that has several different cases all over the place, all kind of felonies racked up against them, depriving them of transit in a scheme, seems like they were trying to scheme to obstruct justice and keep me from getting to these locations to handle my business under the radar. That's what it seems like to me. You just have to prove it. So since nobody's given me any information and I was deprived of my constitutional right to see how if I'm reporting being violated using transit, how I got misconstrued, and I was given a criminal trespass when I had all this madness going on, since nobody will tell me, I want to go through the horse's mouth and speak with the chief.
Now, let me back up. Because you said you spoke with the chief already, and when you spoke with the chief, he told you that the criminal trespass will remain valid?
The chief, I had so much going on. So I was reporting crimes that were happening on DART. And I wanted follow-up to body cam footage on how I was threatened, trapped on trains and buses, how they wouldn't let me off at my stop, trapped me in on it. I had to start recording it, how they closed my hand and the door caused me to bleed. They would repeatedly let other parties in and then close the door when they got to me and drive off. In Fort Worth, they drove off when I was all fixed up. They opened the door like they were going to let everybody in. Everybody got up. And then they closed the door and drove off and left everybody at the bus stop. People were cursing out the bus driver. It was a group of people, but I repeatedly experienced this at multiple different locations, and I'm trying to get down to the bottom of it. In fact, Lindsay took my freedom for nowhere when I was dressed up at the West End. And it repeatedly kept happening, and I'm trying to build a paper trail of my experiences.
So do you have any names that you have spoken with thus far here with Dart Police?
I spoke with Lindsay, badge number 61, took my freedom with him and along with 6 or 7 police when I was all dressed up. And then I was about to go have a wonderful day. They came, ambushed me. Like within 3 or 4 minutes time, I got off the train, which is evidence that I was being illegally monitored and stalked by the police department.
And when did this happen then?
This happened, I was arrested. I can't remember the date, but it was 2019. Then I was getting violated on DART repeatedly over and over and slandered with this criminal trespass, and nobody would tell me the reasoning behind it. I wasn't allowed to go to court.
As in the year 2019?
That is correct.
Have you talked with anyone in our internal affairs team?
I'm not quite certain if I'm asking to speak with the chief. Why I would be deprived of this all across the board for
you're not being deprived. I can transfer you to a secretary. If he's not available, he's not available. But with what you're telling me and what you're explaining me to happen, you would go through our internal affairs team first, because you're complaining about the.
I've already tried to go through them, and I've already tried to get my records, and they disappeared to know where all these reports I've made of people violating me, closing my hands in the door, slamming their foot on the brakes, causing me to hit the dash of the bus in malice. She could have caused the accident because she slammed her foot on the brakes and it wasn't even a stop. But this is DART police. I'm just not quite certain if I'm calling DART police, reporting crimes bus driver are committing repeatedly. Why would people cover for crimes? That's misconduct for you to condone a bus driver endangering other parties' lives than mine, and then won't let me speak to report it. That's what the police department is there for. And I'm not quite certain why this random person would cover for a bus driver endangering others' lives like they did when they came out to cover for it.
Your name?
So I tried to get the records, and then they don't have any. And then they tried to steal my backpack until I recorded. So I had the false arrest, and DART officers tried to steal my backpack, but all kind of parties stole from me repeatedly over and over. Did they get charges for trying to steal my property?
Okay, I'm going to ask you again, Ms. Clark.
If I'm calling the police department reporting crimes year after year, I just need an exit strategy to get out this toxic country. Because it's obvious that you guys are refusing to abide by the law. And people aren't governing government officials that are toxic and sick.
Control this conversation.
I don't understand why you would control it, ma'am, and enforce crimes.
You're trying to control this conversation.
I don't have control over government officials that have badges and guns and enforce crimes on me.
I will disconnect this line. Because if you're calling for assistance, unless you allow me to ask you the questions that I need to assist you, I'm going to disconnect the line, because otherwise you're just calling to talk.
That's what she did, ma'am. I don't have control. That she was going to put me out for talking in the car. So, ma'am, you go ahead, ma'am.
I'm about to release the line.
I know you're about. I'm giving you the floor, ma'am.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am. I already went through this.
Listen to me, Ms. Clark. I'm really, truly, and honestly, I'm really trying to help you today.
Sure you are.
I'm not here to combative with you. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm trying to assist. Because if you don't know DART policies and procedures, I do. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm following DART's policies and procedures. Okay? So once again, I'm asking you, I understand the encounter that you had with Lindsay and the other 6 or 7 police officers that you dealt with that day in 2019. What I'm asking you today is, other than those police officers that you dealt with in the field, you want to talk to the chief of police, and I'm going to do my best to assist you with that. But I also need to know, who have you talked with prior to you being able to speak with the chief of police?